Okay, so I've been talking about programmers and the program and how the program controls our lives and how it defines us and it gives us an identity and it enforces that identity as well. We are required to live up to the identities that we are given, and if we don't, then there are repercussions. And so a lot of people really submit to that to that, and I just want to share my observations as to how it actually happens. How do the programmers like catch us in the snare? How do they catch us in the honey trap? How do they hook us onto their bait? And um and why do they do it? And also how some ways in which we can get ourselves loose off of that hook. So I'm going to start out with the why, because I think um, understanding this is really going to help you and me myself. Even I even need to remind myself sometimes why this is happening. Why do they do it? Why? What is the reason? And the reason that the programmers are so obsessed with us and so obsessed with controlling us is to exalt themselves and their own agenda. It's really just that simple. In their mind, we represent a threat. Our freedom and our sovereignty and our individuality represents a threat to their way of life and to their vision of total world domination and control. And it's they make fun of it in their movies and stuff so that we can laugh about it, but really they have us laughing at our own downfall, because the goal of these the masters of the universe, as it were, the wizards of Oz, is very real. So I'm just going to share what my personal experience is, because it's a unique experience, but I do think that it relates to things that I see out in the broader world as well. So the way that this is how it works out for me. If I turn on the radio or the television, or now at this point, because this has been going on for so long, even real people in real life, because people are living as an extension of their programming. This is the way that it unfolds for me. So what the programmers want from me and the people, what everybody, it seems like everybody wants from me, and this is why I become suspicious. But I'm not really suspicious. I'm really open-minded until I see that people start to behave this way. But what people want from me is for me to breathe for them. So they want me to breathe for them, meaning I'm breathing calmly, I'm just breathing normally, but as soon as there's a person in my space, then I have to breathe out of one nostril or the other, or I have to turn my head this way or that way. And by controlling my breathing, this is how you control a person's feelings. You get a person to sympathize with you this way. And this is where the whole one eye symbology comes in, that you see in the Illuminati entertainment media. You see a lot of one eye symbology, because that is exactly what it is. No one can cover one of my eyes, because you know I'm not suffering from that kind of torture that so many people do, especially children. It's horrible, and they will cover one of their eyes while they torture them and make them look at horrible things out of the other eye. And I mean, they do all kind of stuff with the one eye thing, but for me, it manifests as a one nostril. So people are requiring me to breathe out of one nostril, to breathe for them, and in this way, they feel safe. They make me into a container for them. So it's like remove me, the individual, in order to contain them, and this is a forced sympathy. So I'm being forced to sympathize with anybody and everybody in an extremely intimate way. And I did it innocently in the beginning, before I realized that it could be negative, because I want to be a team player. I mean, I've never been a part of a team, but I've always wanted to. I've been a lonely person all my life, but I've always wanted to participate in something that was, group oriented, or larger than myself. So in the early days, let's say 15 years ago or so, I cooperated with that. Or even 10 years ago, or probably even 5 years ago, I did cooperate with that, and I breathed how people wanted me to breathe. And that's all anybody wants from me. So um, after a while, I started to realize that, hey, this is only exalting this other person, and there's no limit to how much inconvenience they will put me through in order to use me in this way. So I saw that I was being used. And it was only to increase the other person's fame or recognition, or to enhance their relationships or to boost them up. And I started to see this whole ego trip. So I was like, hey, wait a minute. This isn't really God's work. This isn't for the greater good or anything. This is just for your good. So um, I've rebelled against it quite a lot. And so there aren't very many people around me. There aren't any people around me anyway, because everybody is very attached to the program and to their role in the program. And their role depends on me not having a role. It depends on me supporting their role. Like I said, removing my own self out of the equation and kind of giving them my space and giving them my body as a container for their soul, which is just very clever. I mean, it's when I step back and look at it, I'm like, wow, that's impressive. But that is the psychology of what happens to me when I'm around people or when I listen to the radio, especially with the radio. And the radio just doesn't stop. They are relentless. They are relentless. I mean, I really have to wear them down before they stop. I have to be in the mood to do that, though, and I have to be feeling really strong and be really feeling myself that day to just let them know that no, I'm not gonna breathe for you. Okay, you're gonna just flow with me and just go how I go. And I'm the listener, and this is my radio, and this is my form of entertainment, and I have a right to hear the music. And I feel bad for the artist because the programmers are playing these songs out of context, and they're playing these songs to be used for their purposes, and that's not fair to the artist, because the artist doesn't even get a chance to like decide how their music should be played, or at what time or what moments their music should be played in the scheme of things. And that's why pop music is kind of a sin as far as I'm concerned, because pop music is made specifically for the program instead of for the individuals who are performing these this pop music. But all of the pop stars are all mind control slaves, 100%. And they serve the corporate interests, they serve the executive producers, they serve the executives, right, and the billionaires and stuff. They only exist for that. And so that's this is the struggle and the battle that is going on inside of my body every single day and night as a woman, and as a black woman, because I'm being forced to sympathize with this one and that one, and sympathize so heavily with this group or that group at any given time, and nobody sympathizes with me. Nobody does, and it's like a sin or a crime in the society for anybody to sympathize with me. It's very weird. But I am a black woman, I'm a native woman, and everybody is supposed to sympathize with me. On God's green earth, in reality, in God's universe, the black woman, the native woman, is the original human being. All human beings came from her, and so that is what everyone should sympathize with, and everyone should have tenderness towards that individual. So it's kind of messed up. All right, so that's the goal, right? That is the why, is to exalt themselves. And that's part of the how. For me, that is the how, that I'm supposed to cover one eye, and just breathe and sympathize with that person's goals in life and stuff. And the way that they hook us is by subtly undermining our integrity, undermining our dignity, undermining our sovereignty and our independence and our individuality. They use guilt tripping. That's a big one. That was a really big one for me, because my biggest fear was always harming someone. So they knew that about me, and so they used that against me very ferociously to make me feel some type of way all the time. So like, if I'm just breathing freely and relaxing, then I'm doing something wrong and I'm harming somebody. So you can imagine how much anxiety that built up in me. And that is how I developed a very overly sensitized mentality, extremely overly sensitive, extremely paranoid that I'm hurting someone. That's how it started. And thinking thoughts is hurting someone. So I have this, fear of thinking thoughts, and like, oh my gosh, I better not think thoughts, and I better hold my breath and try not to think. And I do everything I can not to think. Drink alcohol, drugs, meditation. Another one is rudeness, and just putting you down and just being rude to you, and like being inappropriate. Did I say scapegoating? Scapegoating, blaming you for everything, um, blaming you for things that other people do, making you responsible for other people's actions, making me. I've been held responsible for other people's actions. Like I said, I live in a house where there's battery that I experience on a normal regular basis. And I've been experiencing that for 9 years, and everywhere I go, in any house that I live in, any apartments or anything that I lived in. And this started happening after I was homeless for a minute and had to live in shelters. That was where it started, but it hasn't gone away, even though I live in the normal life now. But I'm held responsible for the things that people do. So they want me to say to myself, I control you with my mind. So if I think this, then it's going to make you hit the wall. It's going to make you disturb me. But if I don't say that, then you won't just, and I'm not saying anything. I'm just laying there thinking this is all inside my head. This is all thoughts. So I'm being held responsible for the things that other people do. Um, and I think that's the pressure that they put on Native people in general all over the world, that we are somehow to blame for the things that happen to us. We are somehow to blame that our land was taken by thieves, and that pirates have come into our communities and have caused wars and strife within our communities, and that somehow we are to blame for that. So, let me see, did I miss anything? Mm, um, Yeah, it's all about forcing you into a submissive posture. It's all about forcing people into a submissive posture, a psychologically submissive posture, because everything starts in the mind. So if you're psychologically submissive and you're in any kind of agreement whatsoever with your submission, and feeling like, yeah, okay, I'll try harder, I'll do better, not to harm people, and how could I possibly be, in reality, how am I harming anybody just by relaxing or by sleeping? I don't think that's harming anybody. If it's harming someone, then that person has gotten ill-gotten gains. That person is taking a downgrade because I'm sleeping, and because I'm relaxing, and because I'm unwinding, or even because I'm loving somebody. Because I'm far from doing anything like that. That fantastic. It's to actually have romance and love. That's totally out of the question, because that would just crash the whole system. I'm just being held responsible for all of this, and I don't agree with it. I think that now I'm just ready for the turmoil that would come onto other people if I was left alone, if I was left to live my life as a free human being. And this goes for me and all my people. Okay, if we were just left to be free and to pursue our happiness to the fullest, without all the control. And this really just goes for all people in general, not even just my people, but all of God's people. If we were just free to be ourselves and to be sovereign and to live out our karma, that wouldn't hurt anybody. That would, the only people that would hurt are the people who are serving the corporate interests and serving Satan, because there's a lot of those people. Everybody's doing it. I mean, I think everybody's doing it on some level, except for me, because I'm not allowed to. Not that I haven't tried. Not that I haven't tried to participate and serve the devil a little bit, or be on the corporate, be on the corporate payroll or whatever. But I can't, because I'm not allowed to. I'm being constantly stalked and harassed everywhere I go all the time. So I never get to relax and just like pretend. I never get to go into denial, that everything's gravy and that I can just serve these corporate interests and stuff like that. So it just pushes me in the other direction towards revealing everything. But yeah, all of this stuff, it just creates this psychologically submissive type of posture. And then of course that leads to a physically submissive posture, and then so, enter in the mask wearing, that's a submissive posture. When you're wearing a mask, your hands are tied behind your head, your hands are tied behind your back, and you're wearing a mask, and you're getting screwed from behind. So if I were all of you, I would sincerely think about how intrusive and how presumptuous it is to try to force anybody to wear a piece of wardrobe over their face, a face diaper. It is beyond, and I mean, it's a submissive thing. Okay, in Arabic countries, the women have to do that, right, as a submissive posture towards the men, and they have to social distance as well. And now they're doing it, all over the world for the males and the females. I'm telling you, it's because, and they're not wearing masks. I guarantee you that the people that are enforcing all of this, they don't wear masks, because they know that, for one thing, there's no threat, and even if there was, the mask wouldn't protect you from it. And also, they simply don't see themselves as any of us. They see us as less than human. Like they see themselves as the humans. You know, they are the special ones. They are the trans humans. You know, they have these, you know, satanic bloodlines, and they are the bloodlines of Lucifer and all that. They believe that a lot of things about themselves that place us into a category of like cargo. You know, they see us like cargo, like belongings, or like, you know, material things. That's how they see human beings. And so I won't ever stop talking about it. But hopefully I made my little point there.